Hey y'all, it's your buddy Chop It On coming at you with Week 7 box checkers. We're going to talk defense, wide receivers, and tight ends today, and then we'll come back tomorrow and do quarterbacks and running backs, get you set for the Week 7 NFL slate. Basically, box checkers is just trimming the fat off the slate. It's a simplified version that I use to start my research every single week, where I'm looking at what games I might want to target, what offenses, defenses that I might want to get involved with, and then I'll go checking and building lineups and playing around and reading other people's stuff. But I like to do this myself first before I look at anything because that's what's going to at least lead me to things that I see that other people might not. And I just find that as an individual in daily fantasy sports, it's better to trust yourself above a lot of other people, and then maybe use some others to confirm what you're doing, but not necessarily sway you from what you're doing. That said, that's when the fundamentals are all in place. So let's dive in and let's start talking about the fundamentals. As always, consider becoming a VIP at DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shopping for every sport imaginable in daily fantasy sports. I'm a senior contributor and coach over there, and coupon code CHOP earns 20% off each month when you do become a VIP. Obviously, I'd greatly appreciate if you use that code. Save yourself a little bit of money along the way, and while you're down there in the comments section where you'll find that link, why don't you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, ring the notification bell, and you'll get my hockey and my NFL videos when they drop to your phone. Let's dive in, consult the live odds page first over here at dfsarmy.com, because what we're looking for on the main slate is what defenses are going to stand out. We do a little bit of simple math. We start looking for over-unders that when we cut them in half, that's about 26 points, minus about a point and a half leads us down to about 24 and a half for the LA Rams. That's not the type of situation we're looking for. What we're looking for defenses is large point spreads favoring a team 6 points or higher, and we're looking for opponents' implied team totals under 18 to 20 points. We'll see if we can find some there. Big spreads is one way to find it. Low totals is another. Looks like the Buffalo Bills are going to be in play. Just to confirm, let's whip out the old calculator. We had a 41 over under, divide that by 2. That's how you start the process. Half of 17 is 8.5, so let's subtract off 8.5 points, and we get a whopping 12-point implied total for the Miami Dolphins. So Buffalo's obviously a very, very strong daily fantasy sports defense this week. That's not rocket science. That should be something everybody should be talking about. That said, let's see if we can find some others that are also in play. 44, that's 22, minus about 2 points at about a 20. So Jacksonville maybe borderline in play. Small spread. There's a larger spread. Green Bay maybe borderline in play. 47.5, that's about 23.5, minus about 3 points is about 20 points. So again, borderline in play. 47 minus 1, not going to do it. 50 minus 3, not going to do it. 41 minus 9.5, Washington. San Francisco 49ers on the road in Washington. That's going to be in play. That's going to be the type of scenario that's going to be in play. 41 points again is what, 20.5 points minus about 4.75. So that's about 16, 17 points, or maybe a little bit less. I'm just rounding in my head. All I need to know is that the spread is over 6 and the implied total for Washington is under 18. That's a smash defense spot. So Buffalo and San Francisco are where we're looking right now. Scrolling down a little bit more, 40 minus 1, that's 20, minus 1's 19. So the Tennessee Titans offense may be in play, or defense may be in play on a GPP type of basis. 38 minus a point and a half, that's what, 19 minus a point and a half, 17 and a half. Chicago Bears are probably in play. So there's four defenses. Buffalo, San Francisco, maybe Tennessee, probably Chicago. 49 minus 3, not going to cut the mustard. 49 minus 3, not going to cut the mustard. I'd like to see the spreads be a little bit bigger in this game, so I would probably run in my optimizers a lot of Buffalo, a lot of San Francisco, a little bit of some of these others mixed and matched in a little bit that I find in good spots, and that's my day. That's my defenses. Done. Where are we at? 4 minutes? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's dive over to the research station. Look at the tight end matchups. We're looking for home teams, favored teams, high implied team totals over about 25 points, and those getting targets and red zone work, especially inside the 5 or the 10-yard line. So the easiest way to do that is to just start filtering this bad boy out. We'll come over here to the Vegas team total. Let's go custom filter this time. We'll go greater than or equal to. See if we can't find anything over 24 points. I like to leave myself, I'm looking for 25 and higher. I like to leave myself a little bit of a buffer zone because as you've seen from previous weeks, it's very, very interesting when we have teams that are all on the road, all underdogs, whatever. They don't check all of the boxes, but they're still in very, very good positions. So we want to make sure that we do get a few of those in there as well if we can. If I don't see any options that I like, I'll uncheck that box and I'll go looking for road dogs or whatever. But I'm trying to stay within the parameters that I like that historically lead to value at a very volatile position in tight end. And that, again, is home team, favorite, implied to score a lot of points, getting red zone work, especially inside the 10, getting receptions on a day-to-day basis. I'm looking right now at some of these places. Evan Ingram would probably be in play if he's not questionable. Kittle, Hooper. Jimmy Graham's interesting. Implied and favored. See if he's at home. Jimmy Graham's at home. Might be an interesting. This is the type of scenario where a Jimmy Graham might reach value. He's normally he's pretty inconsistent. Doesn't get used in an offense a lot. But if they're still missing Devontae Adams, let's scroll over and look at the receptions, targets per game. Jimmy Graham only 4. That's not very good. Certainly not very consistent. It's going to make him very touchdown or bust, but he's got 7 inside the red zone, 4 inside the 10, 2 of which he's caught, probably his 2 touchdowns. So he's getting used inside here. It's a touchdown dependent situation. There's no doubt about that. Scroll back over to the receptions and let's start looking at targets, high targets. I'm looking at Hooper, Kittle, and Ingram on this particular list. That's who's most likely to hit value. And we're looking at the targets pile up inside the red zone here for these same guys. Kittle's not getting a lot of work inside the 10. Very interesting. Maybe why he's been a little bit rocky this year. Hasn't been super. Your super consistent guy this year's actually been Austin Hooper. And at 6,600, probably one of the better picks on this particular slate, this particular filter. But let's go ahead and let's kill that team total. Or at the very least, let's just bring it down a little bit more. Because really and truly, if you think about it, needing those team points, needing those implied team points is very, very important. It's very important because without it, if you're only going to score 1 or 2 touchdowns, there's not a lot of scraps to go around to your tight end. Tight ends are usually second, third passing option, especially down in the red zone. That brings Mark Andrews into play. Doyle, Hawkinson. These are all GPP only guys. There's no cash plays down in this list. The only one that really popped in on the main slate was Mark Andrews, who we do like week in and week out. What's his price again? 67, 6,600. Here's your toss-up. Ingram. These guys are all in the same price range. Save a little bit of money with a Jimmy Graham. Take a chance. There doesn't look like there's really a punt viable guy down here just yet. We'll double check these receptions and see that somebody isn't getting a ton of them. Nope. Nobody really down here is getting Hawkinson maybe. But these are the guys that I'm trying to stick with. And then I look over here at the top 4 guys again, go to the red zone, and I see 5 targets and 3 targets inside the 10 for Mark Andrews. That's why these guys are in play. His implied team total was probably a little low. 23.8. It was just under the 24 I included. So it rounds up to 24. These are the guys that are in play right here. There's your short list. Ingram, Kittle, Andrews, Hooper, maybe Jimmy Graham, maybe Hawkinson. That's pretty much it. You've got yourself a list of 3 to 5 tight ends now. Let's go to wide receivers and do similar things. When I go to the wide receivers, I click off these 2 late games. That way I've got the main slate only. I don't worry so much about home team, road team. I don't worry about favorite or underdog now. Now what I'm worried about is implied team total and receiving work. So if I want to come over here to receptions and I want to cut down to a short list, I want guys getting about 8 targets per game. So I can come down here, set another custom filter, weed out the trash, greater than or equal to, say, 7. Who's averaging 7 targets or more per game? Ooh, there's a lot of them. I like it. Let's go ahead and let's sort by descending order. Scroll over this way and let's look for guys that are getting red zone work. There we go. Cooper Kupp, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, Tyler Boyd not really getting them. You got to get into the red zone before you can be used in the red zone, am I right? DeAndre Hopkins being used a little bit. Christian Kirk, surprisingly. Kenny Golladay. Devontae Adams, if he plays, Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald, 7 targets inside the 10. Kenny Golladay, 7 targets inside the 10. That's good usage. That leads to touchdowns. 5 and 5 down here for, of all people, Mike Williams. And T.Y. Hilton, who's caught 4 of them, which is where his touchdowns spiked earlier in the year. So this is generally what you're looking for. This is going to lead to some decent production. Look at Auden Tate, 8 targets inside the 20, 3 inside the 10. Sneaky. Getting over 7 targets per game at 5,900 on Fanduel. Sneaky. A lot of people will take those punts, and when they don't perform in that week, everybody says, "Oh, this guy's your punt play, your free cash play, your free square, whatever." And like he was about 2 weeks ago, and he kind of got a late touchdown, 3 catches, 30 yards, 40 yards, something like that, with a touchdown to kind of save his value. Nobody got excited about it. Bam, they're off to the next new shiny toy. And the problem with that is, if you look at his numbers and watch his numbers, he's still getting targeted. He's being targeted, I need to scroll over a little bit more, but he's being targeted 7.2 times per game on average over 5 games, and he's being used inside the dang red zone. That's a good situation, especially for a cheap guy, right? So any of these guys are pretty much in play, but if I really wanted to sort things out, I'd go looking in the Vegas totals here for implied totals under 18 points. Michael Thomas, great spot. Terry McLaurin, great spot. God, does that guy get used inside the red zone? Of course he does. 11.8. Preston Williams. It's a pretty good spot if he wasn't on such an inept defense. But the point is, this usually leads to garbage time points for receivers. If you can find the primary receiver, the one who's getting targeted, a lot of times when the opposing defense kind of backs off a little bit, plays a little bit of a prevent because the game's locked up and it's in hand, and that other team is forced to throw late in the game, you get a lot of soft points, a lot of soft fantasy points by these wide receivers that are always in losing positions. That's why that number historically helps hit value. The other one is the scoring bonanzas, which is 30, 27 or higher. So we're looking at Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks probably on this list. So he's not getting targeted enough this year. But these two, John Brown, Cole Beasley, interesting. I just picked Beasley up in my fantasy season-long league because he's got a soft schedule the next 2 or 3 weeks, and he gets targets, man. And he gets little bitty dinky targets. Doesn't get used in the red zone a lot. But for cheap, on a DraftKings, he's not a bad punt, especially when he's implied to score over 28 points this week, and he's getting the targets, he's getting the looks. Okay, so that's basically all you have to do to trim the fat off the slate at defense, tight end, and wide receiver. We can come back and do similar things for running back and quarterbacks later, but what are we, 12 minutes in? It just doesn't have to be rocket science, guys. These are the guys that are most likely to hit value on your rosters. Now, which 3 are going to be the best? I don't know. I can tell you to stack them up with your quarterbacks. I can tell you to study a little bit deeper and look at, ADOT and air yards and all that kind of fun stuff. But the bottom line, wide receiver is a fluky, crazy, volatile position. Tight end is even more crazy, fluky, and volatile. And defense is right up there with tight ends. So you've got the ass back half of your rosters in the crazy roll the dice, play Russian roulette with these guys, but you're trying to pick from those that historically do perform. Who gets targets? Who gets used in the red zone? Who's implied to score a bunch of points? I know it's overly simplistic, but this trims the fat off of a large slate in short order. Again, we're under 15 minutes. But that's your short list. That's how you do it. If you want access to the tool to do this work yourself, you jump into dfsarmy.com, use the coupon code CHOP, CHOP, trigger that 20% off discount, and get in here and get your own box checking started. You can use this tool to filter and sort and do all sorts of crazy things and find those sneaky plays that nobody else is talking about. And that's what wins you GPPs as well. Take care, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow when we come back and do quarterbacks and running backs. Box checkers, week 7. Chop it on out.